All right, as we get started, as I mentioned to you before, I guess yesterday, I'm expecting that you will have pushed up to GitHub the stuff we've been working on lately. All right, back from chapters 16 and 17, and I don't even have it up right now, but if you remember, bring it up if I can find it. We did a very simple project as a class that we called something like data entry project. And that was the one, bring it up. That looked like this. And if you remember, this was the one where I had you create it in class. And if you left stuff off, you'd get the error messages, etc. And if I put in stuff, and if I come up to here and I get to the zip code, if I try to put in something numeric, well, it shouldn't take it because this is the original one. But there was the code you were supposed to put in there. We went through this as a class. This is what you're going to be graded for your chapter 15, 16 homework, basically. All right. So we did that. Again, it was called Data Entry Project. Then we went in and started working on other stuff. If you remember, when we got into databases, this was the first one that we did. In other words, what we did here was we just came in and manually added text boxes, etc., and we programmed up the buttons ourselves. So again, we could go to the next record, to the previous record, to the first record, to the last record, etc. So we did that. All right. Then we went on from there and we started to actually come in and bring in the idea of creating stuff ourselves and dragging the stuff in. We did it both with and without a data grid. All right, a data grid view. So I'm expecting the ones that we worked on as a class that you're going to put those out there. I mean, 2 weeks from today, we're done. All right. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like all work in by 2 weeks from yesterday. All right. If you've got all of your work in Thursday when you leave here, you don't have to come Friday. Even if I get in trouble for saying that, but you're still going to be marked here. All right. So the only people that should be here are people who still have work to turn in. Does that make sense? All right. And I believe that I'm going to do the best I can that by 5 o'clock, I'm going to have my final grades put in. I guess we get till like noon on Saturday. They don't like that because then the people who put in all that stuff have got to come in here on Saturday. All right. So now for next week then, if you remember, because we've been working on 2 different projects. All right. Oh, we did this SQL query tester too, if you remember that. So I'd like that done. So anything that we've done as a class, I'd like you to put that out there. I want to give you points. All right. I believe that, between the homework and the lectures, that those are worth like 50 points for each assignment. All right. Then we got into what we're working on right now. Now I want to show you what I did. All right, not much, but a little bit. And that is, I added to my project here, the one that's got all this, customers, etc. You've seen all this stuff before. I'm not going to go back to it. But if I go home, I added a new button called Category/Products. And now when I click on it, notice what I get here. I guess I didn't center it on the screen, but that's okay. These are all of the products for accessories. And there's like about 20 of them or so. But if I go from product 1 to product 2, you'll notice how it changes. 3, 4, 5, 6. And what that did, and the way that I did that, was almost remarkably simple. So I just want to go back and kind of show you what I did. So I'll come in here and I will create a new form. I'm just going to call it FRM junk because I'm going to get rid of it right away. All right, so there's my junk form. I spaced it out, etc. I gave it a color. I don't really care about that stuff. But then I came in here and I said, okay, what do I want in here? Well, I first want my categories. All right, but I don't want it as a data grid view. So I came down and clicked on this and just added, there's just two things in there anyway, the category ID and the category description. There they are. I'll make them bigger so everybody can see them real well. It's even bigger than I had them, but that's fine. So there it is. So there's the description, and there will be the ID. All right, so line this up just a little bit here. I'll make this bigger so you can read it. And this label will have to be made bigger too. All right, but it's just a number. So you know if I ran it right now, what should happen is this should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and this should say the associated description for that category. So let me lift this up just a tad. Now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go to Products, and I'm going to drag in a data grid view. All right, and I'm going to run this. Now, in order to run it, I'm going to have to do, let's see, will it take this? So this is FRM junk. That's not going to show it in there. Okay, I'll make another button in my main. That's fine. In fact, what I'll do is this. Okay, I'm going to change this to, for now, I'm going to comment this out. And I'm going to type in, go to junk. Now this is going to give me an error because I haven't written a go to junk yet, but I'll write it right now. All right, that should have gotten rid of every error that I had in here. And when I go back to main, I just got to add another button here that'll make it go to junk. This dot hide and global methods dot. All right, so I did that basically real time, literally right in front of you. There's my junk, and what do we have? Well, again, notice that's it. That's all there was to it. So the system is smart enough that it knows to, oh, I better equate this with what's here. So it understands that when I create a master table and put a detail table under it as a grid view, it does the association automatically as long as I have set up a one-to-many relationship, all right, in the system. So if I've got the foreign keys in there. So that's literally all that you have to do, all right? Okay. So let's just go over what's in the book because there's not much in there. We've hit on just about everything that's here. But I just figured it's easier to show it to you than it is, or demonstrate it to you rather than it is to just sit there and look out of the book. All right. So again, they're going to show it on the next page. This is the one that they showed in the book. And it says the first thing you should notice is the data sources window. And in other words, as you go in there, these are the things that are set up for you automatically. So the data source that is in the detail table will be set to the data source of the parent or master automatically. And as long as you set up a foreign key, the data member will be basically that foreign key. So it knows what the linkage is between the two. All right? And that's exactly what they show here. So as it says, if a table has a one-to-many relationship with the other table, remember, one-to-many, what that implies is for every one category ID, there are 0 or more products under that category ID. That's the many side. So again, the one side is the category, the many side is the products. There are other relationships that could have been done like this, exploited like this, however you want to say it as well. All right, and it says, that table will appear subordinate to the main table. Then you can drag the subordinate table to a form to create a grid view that displays the rows in the subordinate table. It's exactly what I just told you. So you can go back and take a look at this, but they explain all the steps that I just demonstrated to you. Not only that, there is code that is written behind the scenes. All right? But one nice thing about the way they've got this set up is right now we've got pretty much a working relational database management system, and we've written almost no code. Now, if we wanted to do things like permanently save, permanently be able to go in and make updates, permanently be able to go in and make deletions, etc., we'd have to add some of our own code. All right, but right out of the box, without doing much work, we got a lot of stuff. So the example that they give in the book is this one. So again, they use customers and their invoices. Well, we don't have that. We got some of that kind of stuff, but in order to go from customers to orders, really it's customers to, I think it's order details that we'd want. You'd have to go through orders. So it'd be a little bit more complex. It could be done. But as it says right here, in this example, the customer invoices form, all right, is the master. It displays the invoices, which is the detail for a selected customer. And again, if I put in here, if I've got 30 customers and they're numbered 1 to 30 and I put 80 in here, I really should get a message that comes back that says, my message box or something that says, no customer by that number exists, something along those lines. It's also possible I could have put number 14 in here and that customer has no orders. So this grid view could be blank. All right. And as it says, because this application doesn't let the user add, modify, or delete invoices, in this case, the binding navigator toolbar was eliminated in this case. So you'll notice there is no regular toolbar up here. All right. So you can grab that toolbar and you can eliminate it or you can remove what you don't want. So in other words, what I may decide to do, all right, is maybe there's some people who work for the company that I want this to be read-only. That's in essence what they've done right here. All right. Yeah. So again, this is some of the code, at least, that's been written behind the scenes. This stuff we talked about a little bit yesterday as far as converting the customer ID, because remember, in the database, it's in there as an integer, and you want to compare apples with apples. All right. So notice what it even puts in here. If the customer's binding source .count is greater than 0, show it. Otherwise, show a message box that says no customer found with this ID. All right. Now I've actually got it here. I don't know if we really have to go through it, but I'll just do it very quickly here. This is the one that they're showing in the book. Again, you've got access to this. All right. You got that thing at the beginning of the semester. This was under book applications. So if I come through here for customer ID and I put in a 20, as they showed in the book, well, I thought they did. There it is. There's customer 20, and there's their orders. If I change it from 20 to 14, I get this. And notice customer 14 has no orders. That doesn't mean they're a bad customer. On the other hand, if I come in here and put in 5 ones and click Get Customer, now I do get no customer found with this ID. Please try again. All right. And again, I've said this kind of thing to you before. There's only so much help you can give somebody. And if they're not going to listen to you, if they're going to keep putting in bad data, all right, you've got to decide how you want to handle it. If you're working for a company, they'll tell you how they want you to handle it. All right, as it says, the only code that's required for this form is the code that retrieves the customer and invoice data. The code is executed, again, when you enter the ID and click the Get Customer button. That's it. And that was it. Now, next week, we are going to go over Chapter 20. How to use ADO.net to write your own data access code. I'm going to look at what they've got in the book for this customer maintenance application. If I think it's good enough, we will concentrate on that one. All right? But you will have some time to work on that. There's probably a pretty good chance that next week we will be able to finish Chapter 20 and Chapter 23, which means the last week of class you'll have plenty of time. So if you're behind on homework, you know who you are if you are. That's your chance to get some homework done, at least get some points. All right? And if you're not behind, you'll have plenty of time. I'm expecting, especially from you four, that I'm going to get 4 electronic portfolios and they're going to look good. From you guys, what I'm going to do now, so what I'm about to do, if you guys, especially you four, if you want to tune me out or if you've got headphones, go ahead and put them on. Because I went yesterday and during class, I watched this. You may have, you may not have. This is like 36 minutes long. All right, and it's funny because this is Brian, I think it's pronounced Hafferkamp. He's a very good lecturer. The funny thing is, while he's doing this, he must have a cold or something because he's constantly hacking. Now, personally, if that had been me, I would have redone it. He didn't. But the other thing to realize is this example is from 2020. It's not 2021. So the interface won't look exactly the same. It won't function exactly the same. But what he does in 38 minutes and 26 seconds is he builds something that you could build. Now, what he does, first of all, it's for a mythical person. All right? Second of all, he says, well, this is your case studies, etc. You do this, you do this. He doesn't actually physically link to anything. Does that make sense? But the idea is if you watch this, this should give you some ideas. You've already been given that piece of paper that had the specs on there. Now, if you want, you can do everything on one big page and just separate it into sections. Some people do that. Or you can have a different page for each one. It's not hard to do that with MobiRise. All right? Where he does, in this example, he does everything on one page. If that's easier for you right now, by all means, do it that way. This thing is filled with pre-done templates. You can still build some of your own stuff, but typically what you do is you grab one of those templates and make changes to it. I will expect that since you've got 2 weeks basically, that you will be able to link to your projects that are out there on GitHub, etc. All right? And we'll talk about the stuff some more, but I'm going to play this right now. All right? Like I said, it's not fantastic. Probably better than any job I would have done on